so that you can see what's happening here, which sometimes is probably not a good idea because we forget people are watching us here.
Well, this is your opportunity to finish that Snickers while the screen is off.
It's back on.
It's back on again?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
And don't ever, let me tell you kids at home.
Don't ever try this at home.
Don't ever eat with your mouth full, okay?
Don't ever eat with your mouth full.
Right. And talk on the radio at the same time. But this is our dinner. This is
That's
our
called
dinner hour.
multitasking.
It's our dinner hour, right?
Yeah.
I just walked into the break room, CJ.
Yes.
And there's several studios in our 100-foot tower here in Boca Raton. 100-story, I mean. And there were some kids back there, little kids, little munchkins running around. You don't usually see little munchkins running around.
Yeah.
But Sandy, the hurricane that's off the eastern coast of Florida, has caused Palm Beach County to shut the schools down half a day. All you mothers are going nuts. Your kids are coming home early. You're driving to pick them up and all of that. The fact of the matter is when the winds increase over 35 miles per hour in Palm Beach County, the buses are not allowed to run because of a safety hazard of the bus being blown over. When you have a big square vehicle and you're driving in the wind, it ain't safe. Now, I'll give you a public service announcement from a former tractor-trailer driver who carried very big square things down the highway in windy weather. It ain't a lot of fun if you're driving motorhomes or even vans, even SUVs. Over the next 24 hours, particularly when you break out of an area that has some containment, whether it's trees or buildings on 95, and then you hit an open area, you're going to be hit broadside with a crosswind that literally will throw you into the next lane. Keep two hands on the wheel. I used to actually teach this sort of stuff. Two hands, 10 and 2 or 9 and 3.
Can I turn it back on?
You can do 10 and 2, 9 and 3 if you want. That means the wheel looks like a clock. The 2 o'clock position, 10 o'clock position. Some people like 9 and 3. Keep two hands on the wheel, please. Don't overdrive the conditions. It's going to be wet, windy, slippery. That means I-95, which is usually 70 miles an hour, most people 80. Do not drive 70 miles an hour. Be very careful at 60. If you have bad tires, don't even drive on it because the wind will throw you over. You'll hydroplane and you're going to get in an accident and get hurt. So 24 hours of caution on I-95 in Palm Beach, Broward, Martin County tomorrow. Please drive very carefully because we don't want you hurt. We want you listening to the show, but I may be driving next to you and don't want you smashing into me, okay? I promise I won't smash into you. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I have two things on all of the cars I've ever owned. Good brakes and good tires. You only got a little tiny patch called a contact patch of the rubber to the road. And, the car has to stop at a certain distance. And you're fighting physics all the time. When I taught my kids how to drive, I told them that your goal is to come home alive every day because everybody wants to kill you with their car. And that's pretty true in these parts of the woods. So be careful for the next 24 hours driving in Sandy. Do we have our first caller on by any chance? Steve, is Steve with us?
Steve is calling in any minute now.
Okay, let me tell you about Steve, ladies and gentlemen. First, you're on TrentoVision.tv if you're watching on the internet, and you're on WNN 1470 if you're listening while you're driving around South Florida. Or, as we like to tell you, iHeartRadio for all of our friends who are driving elsewhere and can't get to a computer, but you can listen on digital sound, digital audio on iHeartRadio. We showed, and I think we'll show it when he comes on. When Steve comes on, we'll show the video we showed yesterday. But, Mark, why don't you set it up? Why don't you tell everybody what we're talking about here and what we're going to show them in a little bit. Mark is the disembodied spirit.
Well, the disembodied spirit has no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
The Delray video.
Oh, the Delray video.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the situation.
Tom, do you have some of those comments also? that you got from the video that you can pull up?
Good idea. Why don't you do that?
Okay. Well, I'm getting a hold of Steve.
You're getting a hold of Steve.
Yeah.
I will pull up the comments somehow.
And I will try to pull up the comments as well.
I will explain to you what we're talking about. Yeah, you're going to have to pull up the comments.
Okay.
While I talk to the good folks at home and on the radio.
Okay.
On the 22nd, Monday the 22nd, it's the 26th Thursday, President Barack Obama came to Boca Raton, Florida, as did Governor Mitt Romney, and they met in the Battle of the Wimps at Lynn University, a very uninspiring, particularly compared to the second debate they had. Debate, conflict, confrontation on national security, foreign policy issues, our stuff. We were so excited that these guys were going to be here. We thought for sure Governor Romney would fillet the president as he ought to be and can easily be filleted on these issues. That didn't happen, but notwithstanding that, the next day, Tuesday morning, President Obama, in full campaign mode, which he is very good at. He's terrible as a chief executive officer. He's a great ideologue if you like destructive public policy. But as a campaigner, he stopped off at the Delray Beach Tennis Center. Very beautiful facility in that little town of Delray Beach. My office is in Lake Worth, so on occasion I go down to Delray Beach, and they got this beautiful amphitheater, professional tennis center, holds 8,500 people. Tuesday morning, October 23rd of this week, the president had probably 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people there. Held a campaign rally, jazzed up the crowd, got them rocking and rolling just like you do at campaign rallies. It's what you do. Well, we had one of our reporters in town, Alan Kornman, who was covering the presidential debate the evening before. And I said, Alan, see if you can go down there and interview some of the Obama supporters as they're walking around. Just ask them why they're supporting Obama. You know, just typical stuff like we normally do. So Alan went down there. He parked his car. He started walking, and he saw and heard a confrontation. Heard a confrontation, and Alan just held his video camera up, asked a couple of questions, and then we made a videotape, and we sent it out the next day, the 24th. And in that videotape, there were two groups of people. There were a couple of hundred Obama supporters, and then there were one or two. Did you get the numbers right, ladies and gentlemen, watching and listening? Couple of hundred President Obama supporters, and one or two, maybe three, Mitt Romney supporters holding a sign. Confrontation took place. The one group didn't like the other group, and we put this video out. I got an email today, and the email said, "Hey, Tom, I'm the guy in your video." I said, "Are you the guy that was holding the Romney sign?" "Yeah." I said, "Would you like to be on our show today?" And I'd like to introduce everybody to Steve. Steve, we won't use your last name. So, hello, welcome to Trento Vision. How are you, my friend?
Hi, well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. I'm well.
Why don't you tell us, we're gonna play that video in a second that we put out, but tell the listening and viewing audience what, not so much the details. I want you to tell the details after we play it, but your thinking and who you were with that went to the Delray Tennis Center, why you did what you did, because if you can read, CJ, did you pick up the comments on this thing?
We're a little bit slow on the computers right now.
Okay. You know what? I can probably get it here. Because, what's going on? Oh, you're that, I see. Because, I don't know, Steve, have you read the comments on the video?
I've read a few of them earlier this morning. I haven't looked lately.
Yeah, pretty vicious stuff. Tell us how you wound up there, why you decided to go, how you wound up. We'll show the video, then you can analyze everything for us.
Okay.
You ready?
No. Steve's going to tell us why he... No, so Steve, tell us why you decided to go there.
I thought it was important to have a Mitt Romney presence. There's probably an importance to have a Mitt Romney presence or any opposing viewpoint or opposing candidate at any rally. I live in downtown Delray. President Obama came into downtown Delray. Obviously, it was enemy territory at that time, but we do have a First Amendment right to peacefully assemble. I thought it was important to at least have some presence there. Delray Beach is not 100% voting for Barack Obama, so having a Mitt Romney presence, of course, I felt was something that would be significant for the supporters. There were plenty of supporters, passersby, drivers who honked their horns, gave the thumbs up. So we know, of course, that Palm Beach County, especially Delray, is not 100% Barack Obama territory, and I think we'll see that come Election Day. And was the intention to be antagonistic? Absolutely not. It was a peaceful demonstration. I brought a Mitt Romney sign. I went on the other side of the street of the tennis center. The police officers on the road specifically stated that the city commissioner had decided that no Mitt Romney supporter was going to be allowed on the same side of the street as the rally, even though they are public streets. I pay my tax dollars like everybody else. We were not allowed on the same side of the street.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That was the order. So, do I agree with that decision? No. Do I understand it by the city commissioner? Maybe, to avoid any confrontation. I was probably decided as that being the reason. So I went on the other side of the street, across from the Delray Beach Tennis Center, on the corner of Atlantic and 2nd, right in front of the Delray Public Library. Peacefully stood there with my Mitt Romney sign. And from the onset of the rally until the end, it was relatively calm. We had a few, obviously, bad apples of Obama supporters who would walk by and say some derogatory things, but nothing as egregious and as near violent as what you saw at the end of the rally, as the whole wave of Obama supporters left the tennis center and intersected us on that corner.
The plot thickens here because
I didn't know that information before.
No. That you wanted to. Oh, the thunder's coming in. You wanted to go on the side. I'm a little familiar with that Atlantic Avenue. You wanted to go on the side where the tennis center was. The police felt. Did they give you a reason?
They said that the city commissioner, again, made the decision that any Romney supporter, anyone with Romney paraphernalia, should be represented on the opposite side of the street.
So they're trying to segregate you.
Let him talk.
Yeah, it was segregation. Again, I didn't speak with the city commissioner. I don't know if it was a politically motivated thing. Maybe he was just trying to. There weren't any other restrictions, so I'm not going to jump to a conclusion there. Did I want to be on that same side of the street as the Obama rally? I probably not. I think the point of having a presence was still accomplished by being on the opposite side of the street, facing traffic that was heading eastbound. So I had plenty of people who were driving by and giving the thumbs up, honking their horns. Plenty of supporters, and that was the intention. Was there an intention of trying to be intimidated or pushed out of there? That was the intention of the Obama supporters, as you can see from the end of the video. A lot of that video was towards the tail end. You missed, from what I've seen on that video, a lot of the not so G-rated expletives that were hurled towards us, me and two other supporters. There was a lot, of course, that I'm sure could not be shown because of the nature of the terminology that was used, and a lot of hate speech. Unfortunately, our country is extremely divided. You would think after 50 years of after the civil rights movement, we would have gone past this. Apparently, the great divider, Obama, has not accomplished that. We, I think, have maybe even taken a step backwards compared to 4 years ago, unfortunately.
Steve, a couple of things here. One issue is I don't know where it says a city commissioner can supersede the First Amendment right to peaceably assemble. Now, we do know, because we do this all the time, that cities often pass some sort of temporary safety law and give you a free speech zone. That thing ought to be fought too. So I'd like to pursue this, not right now, get more information. But before we do that, without getting into too much detail, because we're on the internet all over the world and on the radio here, what kind of work do you do? You seem pretty well informed. Let's establish for the record, I don't know who you are, never met you. You sent me an email. You may or may not be the person. I have any reason to not believe you are the person that was in there.
Yes.
What do you do? What kind of work do you do?
I'm a certified financial planner.
Okay. I don't, in my life, I've never had need for one of them.
Well, we need one now. Or would you like to raise funds for Trento Vision?
But let me do this, because we are going up against our next guest. I want to bring him in now, because he is one of the folks that works with us on the United West Side. Rabbi John Hausman, are you there?
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you, my warrior
well,
brother?
My friend, how are you?
Good. Have you been listening to my conversation with Steve?
Just the tail end of it. I just finished up a meeting here.
Okay, and you can be with us to the top of the hour, Rabbi Hausman?
I can be with you till just about 5 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. I want to bring you in on two issues. One, we had Carolyn Glick a bit earlier, and the question was, is President...
A friend of mine.
Yep. Is President Obama a friend of Israel? But now, Rabbi Hausman, we have another issue you're familiar with. Steve, and somebody's at the dog pound, it sounds like.
I'm sorry, I actually have a German Shepherd. He was with me at that event. I don't know if you saw the German Shepherd who I brought. His name is Sergeant. I'm going to go into another room now. He knows I'm on the radio. So
Of course. Of course.
So he's going to act up.
But Rabbi Hausman, Steve was at a rally, an Obama rally the other day in Delray Beach when the Obama rally let out. Steve was across the street holding a Romney sign, he and one or two others. And Alan Kornman, you know Alan, one of our investigative reporters, Alan went over to just do interviews, and he saw a confrontation. Have you, Rabbi Hausman, seen the video we sent out about the near riot in Delray Beach?
Yep.
Okay. Well, Steve is the guy holding the Romney sign. He emailed me this morning and said, "Hey, Tom, I'm the guy in your video." I said, "You want to be on the show?" So he's on the show, just explaining why he went there to take a stand, and wasn't confrontational or anything. So we're going to play the video right now. And some of it is unintelligible because they're screaming and yelling and all of that. But for the viewing and listening audience, particularly the listening audience, it's a crowd of 100 or 150 people standing around Steve, our guest on the line right now, yelling and screaming at him. And then a woman speaks afterwards, and then a black woman speaks at the end. So we'll play that. Steve, you come back, give an analysis, and then Rabbi Hausman, I want you to weigh in on this. And then we'll segue to the issue, the question of the hour on Obama. And all this fits together. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The near riot in Delray Beach, Tuesday of this week.
Things.
Well, because I don't agree with them, I guess.
So you were physically assaulted?
Yes, absolutely. Well, if you call throwing your drink on somebody...
That's an assault legally.
See, I'm still wet.
So what do you think of this display of First Amendment rights?
Well, I think you should do it with class. I don't think being aggressive and violent is very classy. I think maybe they should enlarge your vocabulary and go beyond the cuss words. there is an argument for better education, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Karen.
Carrie. Carrie, thank you. And do you think there's going to be any African Americans that are not going to vote for Obama?
Well, I don't think so. If there is, they need their head examined.
Why is that? Why would they need their head examined?
Because we are all in the same boat, and we are all black, and we just need to stick together.
But aren't we all Americans?
We're all Americans. We are great Americans, and we need to stick together.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, and stay engaged.
All right.
Wow, man, I've seen that several times, and it gets equally more disturbing. Steve, are you the guy in the blue shirt, the Romney shirt?
Well, I was wearing a Romney shirt. I'm not the individual standing next to that woman. That was her son, apparently. I'm the 6'5" guy holding that sign up as high, the Romney sign,
okay,
up as high as it was. If you noticed, it was much higher than everybody else. And I was able to do that, being 6'5". I was able to hold my arms as high as they would go and hold the sign subsequently, and making sure that we were not going to be intimidated.
Now, let's walk through this. And Rabbi Hausman, I want you to listen carefully and give us your learned view on what the heck is taking place. So, you're holding the sign, Steve, and right. For our listeners and viewers, Steve's standing on a street corner, beautiful street corner, downtown Delray Beach, and people start walking out of the amphitheater across the street. Now, did one or two come, or how did the crowd approach you, and how did you feel when these people start surrounding you?
It was a mob mentality. Reason being, Tom, is because these were Obama supporters, as the rally led out, were crossing the street to heading wherever their destination was. So as the police would stop and go traffic, they would stop traffic at some point heading westbound and allow the Obama supporters who were trying to cross the street come in one wave. So there were a series of waves that were coming, and each wave probably consisted of 150 to 200 Obama supporters from that rally, and there must have been a few thousand people at that rally. So if it was a consistent bombardment every 3 or 4 minutes as the police would stop traffic and allow the next wave of individuals, rowdy individuals, belligerent individuals, not all of them, of course, but belligerent individuals to come across the street. Of course, as they're facing us and attempting to cross the street, they see our signs. You can imagine how that inflamed them. And some of them, as you have witnessed, were a little more animated than others. So as one wave would sort of make their presence felt by trying to intimidate us and dissipate, 3 minutes later, another wave of 150 to 200 individuals would cross the street. And that lasted for about 20, 25 minutes, and we held our ground.
Man, at any point did you feel threatened? Were the police close by, or what was a sense of personal concern?
The police, there were 3 police officers, fortunately, who within the first couple of minutes after they heard the roar of the crowd, the first crowd or so come across the street, 3 or 4 police officers did come and stand near that corner. They didn't get involved. They just made sure that people continued walking. They had their eyes on things. Did I feel threatened at any time? Possibly, but again, with the police officers standing right there, I felt that eliminated any type of physical altercation, fortunately. The police were pretty proactive. They didn't take a stand again either way. People obviously can say whatever they want without doing anything illegally. A lot of swear words, a lot of derogatory name-calling towards me, chauvinist, racist, white supremacist, all for holding a Mitt Romney sign. Unfortunately, this is the times that we live, and I don't know if it'll ever get better. It's really disconcerting.
Now, the woman on camera said that she was struck with somebody's drink. They threw a drink at him. Did you witness that?
Right. No, I was holding the sign up, so I was holding my own. I don't know who she was. She came towards the end of the whole incident. Again, this was probably about a half an hour of people dissipating and leaving the Obama rally. So I don't know who she is, but I'd say that big Mitt Romney sign was sort of the catalyst. And what can I say? Fortunately, there wasn't anything physical. We have a right to defend ourselves. If anyone would have done anything physical, then that would have I'm sure that you would have had a lot more views on YouTube.
Yes.
Fortunately, it didn't come down to that. It's just unfortunate that racism is still so prevalent in our country, in society. Again, I'm who can't be upset by seeing so much racism and hatred being spewed there just for holding a Mitt Romney sign. I mean, without even saying anything, to call someone a white supremacist. And of course, there are a few bad apples in every bunch. But I mean, do you think you'd have anyone at a Mitt Romney rally calling an Obama supporter a black supremacist? Where is there's an absolute dichotomy. It's really unfortunate. Again, after 50 years of the civil rights movement, have we taken any steps forward? So that is.
Well, let's ask that question of our rabbi. What are your thoughts, Rabbi Hausman?
Listen, Tom, you know me very, very well. To me, it's very plain spoken. This was just an out-and-out attempt, or this administration has projected over the past 4 years now, just an out-and-out attempt, a bald-faced attempt to divide this country along economic lines, along social lines, and along racial lines. And what this gentleman experienced is just an extension of something that goes all the way up to White House policy. Plain and simple.
Steve, how many people were with you when you initially went there?
It was me and 2 other Romney supporters who randomly came by and stood with me the entire time. I was initially I went out there by myself with the intention of meeting some other friends who could not make it. So I was fortunate that 2 other individuals joined me, and then towards the tail end, you witnessed 3 or 4 others come. It was sort of the cavalry, and came at the end. We needed them a little bit sooner, strength in numbers. We were outnumbered probably by about 5,000 to 1. But there was a president.
No, really, that's what the video looked like.
Yeah. Well, Steve, hey, thanks for joining us. You're a brave guy, and if we ever meet in Delray, we'll buy you a beer. And keep up the good work, taking a stand. And look, we would say the same exact thing if the roles were reversed. If a Romney group led out, the United West, Trento Vision, our crew, Rabbi Hausman, we're strong First Amendment supporters for whoever's on any position anywhere. And you can't be doing this stuff like the Arabs are doing in the Middle East, getting aggressive and throwing stuff at people. That does not work. So you're a brave guy. We appreciate it. And you're a YouTube hit. Who knows where this thing will go, right? You take care, Steve. We're going to continue talking with our good friend Rabbi John Hausman. CJ, you got a question?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Sure.
Last month when Obama was at the Civic Center in Palm Beach, across the street from the Civic Center, the RJC was there with their, Oy vey Obama signs.
RJC.
Our Republican Jewish Coalition.
Okay.
So they were protesting Obama's presence and Obama's policies. And everybody was very polite. There was one woman who was an Obama supporter who kept trying to get into everybody's face and yelling and screaming and dancing and waving her arms around. And everybody just said, back off, be quiet, don't engage this woman, go about holding up your signs, wave to the drivers, and just pretend this woman isn't there and do not engage her, because she was trying to get into like a race war.
Sure.
With the pro Romney supporters,
the Jewish pro Romney supporters.
Yeah. She was trying to instigate something because there were people photographing her, trying to get white people to attack a black woman outside an Obama rally.
Well, I found it quite interesting on the comments that how the police reacted. Just like what happened up this with Tallahassee on Muslim Day, where we got assaulted, the university, Bassam al-Wahabi, our local person down here who assaulted us, and we were just standing there with a camera not saying anything. And the police come up to us and say, you have to leave because your presence is a disruptive influence. The same way this man's presence was a disruptive, just the mere presence is a disruptive influence. Right. And so now we become the problem because they yell and hate so much.
Right.
We're the problem.
Right. So I guess people who get mugged are responsible for getting mugged because they shouldn't have been in a neighborhood and having money in the first place, and it's their fault.
Right. Well, this is similar. This is similar to those people who say to a rape victim, okay, well, it's your fault because of the way you walk, you talk, you dressed, you this, you that, you know.
I'm glad you're the one
for
who
the life
said
of me, as somebody who you formerly practiced law, it's just an amazing chill and pall cast against the First Amendment, freedom of speech, okay, which is supposed to act as a brake against the government's ability to abridge your ability to speak. It's an abridgment of freedom of assembly enshrined in the First Amendment as well, and the I wasn't going to. The wrong word is recrudescence, but this credescence, as it were, of a First Amendment corollary, where you have the freedom of right to freedom of speech, so long as the other person isn't offended. You know,
right?
When did this apply to Andre Serrano's Piss Christ? Or the anti-Semitic contretemps that we hear in the United States, let alone all over the world, and emanating from the Islamic Middle East.
Well, let me tell our viewers who you are and what we're doing here right now. We got people just tuning in at the bottom of the hour, actually about 20 minutes to the top of the hour. This is Tom Trento, TrentoVision.tv, and that's on the video side, and we're broadcasting in beautiful, rainy, blustery, windy. Man, is it getting rainy out there.
It really sucks.
We got Sandy coming in. Beautiful Boca Raton on WNN 1470, folks. And if you want to listen on iHeartRadio, you have to get that application for your smartphone, iHeartRadio. You can listen all the time, anywhere. We have with us right now, in the first hour, our theme for today was, is President Obama a friend of Israel? The first hour, we had the inimitable Carolyn Glick, brilliant scholar, writer, policy par excellence individual, national security expert. She's speaking, Rabbi, tonight at the Boca Raton Synagogue. We had her on. Second hour, we have on Rabbi John Hausman, an observant rabbi out of Boston. Not going to mention your shul unless you want to do that. He has worked with us, the United West, for many years on many various national security projects. He's a tremendous academic, an attorney, a rabbi, a scholar, schooled at American University in Cairo, Egypt, speaks fluent Arabic, understands the mind of the Arabs, the threat doctrine of the Arabs, and he is one of the few observant rabbis that we, the United West, will go to war with any place, anytime,
most
anywhere.
Definitely.
So we're privileged to have you. Welcome, Rabbi Hausman. How you doing?
Said hi to one of your
Wait, this is we have disembodied voices here.
Yes.
If you're watching on the TV, let's get a two-shot to bring CJ back in. And so
That's fine the way it is.
No, the viewers, these
No, I just said we said hi to one of your relatives the other day, who's a radio talk show host,
Michael Medved.
Yes, and he sends his love back to you.
And they're wonderful people.
And I had just a
Medveds are wonderful people.
And I had just a quick question for you to follow up on this whole idea of the rape victim and the lack of responsibility of taking from the other side. It's just like this other side, including the Islamic side and this far leftist mentality, never takes responsibility for their actions. It's always somebody else's fault, always someone else to blame. Can you comment and how that transposes over to the Middle East and to here?
In my view, it's an anti-colonialist view of the world. That's how they look at it. If there are issues, it's the West's fault. If there are, if there are economic backwardness, well, it's because of Western exploitation. All this kind of stuff. It just amazes me how we in the West and those of us who believe in liberty, freedom, the panoply of our unalienable rights enshrined by the Bill of Rights, that we allow this to take place. You know, and we've allowed it to take place since the 1930s, where the academy, universities, institutions of higher learning, you know, slowly but surely were, in my view, you know, overtaken by people who were gaining access by way of academic credentials and subverting our education system, things of that sort. And then their students go out, and before you know it, it's hey ho, Western Civ has got to go.
Well, you know what?
By the way, no, you're chuckling, but I want to tell you. I mean, Jesse Jackson in the Rainbow Coalition, the Push Coalition, in the mid to late 70s, literally they were on the college campuses chanting, hey ho, Western Civ has got to go. I'm not making this up.
Right. It sounds a lot like the worldview of Barack Obama right here.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's eerily similar. And
I mean, my view, CJ, is very simple. Barack Obama is an anti-colonial corporatist.
Well, I'm not in favor of colonialism either.
What is that term? Anti-colonial. Say it again.
Corporatist.
What does that mean?
He believes he has an anti-colonial view of the world, which means an anti-Western view of the world, which means in his kishkas, in his guts, he views Western civilization as contributing nothing good to the world and being completely exploitative. Okay. And the kind of government, the corporatist piece of this is the kind of government he would want is such that, you know, his view of government is government solves all issues. And the more power government and the more centralized government is, the better off is the individual.
Government is
God. I mean, listen, there are a lot of ways that some people say it's communism, some people say it's socialism. To me, it's totalitarianism. Okay?
Absolutely.
You know, I don't want my personal decisions to be made by some paper pusher in Washington, D.C., any more that some of our colleagues in Europe want decisions made with respect to personal property rights and liberties and freedoms to be made in Brussels.
Right, absolutely. Getting back to Barack Obama and his anti-imperialist view of the world, anti-colonialist view of the world, what do you think his view of Israel is in the world, and do you think he is a friend of Israel? And if not, why?
I don't think he's a friend of Israel. I would be surprised if my friend and colleague Caroline Glick would argue otherwise. And if she would, I'd like to know, because she's going to be here in Boston on Sunday.
Well, actually, what she said was, back in Israel, we don't get the sense that they, being this administration, are on our side.
Yeah, listen, it's very simple, all right? You know, I don't believe, based on his background, based on with whom he has associated over the years, and how he, if he wrote those books, how he described his view of the world, that he feels Israel. You know, we had the Israeli ambassador Yoram Ettinger here speak at the synagogue, my synagogue, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And in very public discussions, okay, he gave 3 presentations, very public discussions. He described about the people he knew and knows, docents we would call them in English, at Yad Vashem, you know, Israel's Holocaust Memorial and Research Center. And in 2007, 2008, I think it's 2008, candidate for president Barack Obama, you know, made a pilgrimage to Israel, went to the Western Wall, went to the Kotel, visited Yad Vashem, and, you know, your Ambassador Ettinger said his friend remarked he never saw somebody just no emotion about it. Wow. No emotion at Yad Vashem.
Wow.
You know, how come? Listen, Tom, you and the gang, you were at Israel. You went to Yad Vashem. How can you not be moved
it was stirring, right?
About man's? Yeah, and if it's nothing else, about man's savagery to man. How can that not move you?
And the parallels of today.
Yeah.
No.
It's just the whole experience over there. It can do nothing but move you, and you have to be either just completely emotionless, or you have to be on the side of the that's against Israel, and that's the only two conclusions you can come to on it. And thinking about it that way, if he has antipathy towards Israel, it's going to be, hey, you're going to be emotionless about it. Hey, all right, so a bunch of Jews got killed.
Well, it's like one of the other things that Carolyn said was it's not just his view of Israel, that's his view of the United States. And because Israel is so much like the United States, how could he possibly be a friend of Israel? How could he possibly have any feeling for Israel if he doesn't have that feeling for the United States?
But it goes, to me, it goes even further than that. It goes even further than that. Israel is look, I view the world through a Jewish prism, Prism, okay? I view it through that kind of kaleidoscope. I view the world through that kind of lens. I'm most concerned about Jewish existential concerns, okay?
Yeah.
For me,
it's called Houseman vision.
Houseman
vision. Yeah, I suppose so.
House vision.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Trento vision and Houseman vision.
To be able to talk tax policy, education policy, defense policy, can you pass the Israel smell test? Because anecdotally, in my short stay on this earth, and I've been here 6 decades, it's very simple. You show me somebody who believes in the full panoply of rights enshrined, unalienable rights granted to us by our Creator, by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Somebody who believes in the protection of personal property. Somebody who believes in the capitalist system. Somebody who believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you want to know something? 95 times out of 100, I'll show you somebody who's pro-Israel.
Right.
The opposite, somebody who's against all those things, I'm going to show you somebody who consorts with the leftists who seek nothing but harm to Western civilization and the Judeo-Christian world as we know it.
Do you think in the case of...
And seeks the destruction of Israel. Existentially, I want to give you something to think about, okay, or the listeners to think about.
Well, Rabbi, hang on.
Sure.
Say that, and then we only have a few minutes left. We want you to speak to this audience. There's 500,000 Jewish people in the sound of our voice. And right now, 65% of them are voting for Obama. And we're advocates here. We're not worried about taking a position. We want you to speak to them regarding their obligation or responsibility in terms of voting intelligently. Go ahead.
Well,
say what you were going to say, then address them.
Listen, first of all, to be an intelligent voter, I think that one needs to read both sides. And I don't mean the catchphrases that one hears through campaign commercials and slogans, because you got to discount most of that stuff. To me, this is how I explained it to a few people. I was interviewed on TV today up here in my area, and this is what I said. I said, I want to give you something to think about. I said, imagine for a moment that there is an irrational, unstable, aggressive lunatic who has publicly threatened to kill you and your family at their first opportunity. Okay? And imagine that this threat has been made repeatedly, publicly, time and again, in front of the community, in front of elected officials, in front of police, in front of firefighters. Now imagine that you then receive word that this individual is attempting to acquire a gun. And now imagine that this attempt is being made not illegally, but through all the proper channels, under the guise of it being his right. Maybe he says he's looking to acquire, the gun for hunting, for target practice, whatever. Okay? Despite what's coming out of his mouth. Imagine that through these proper channels, though they are fully aware of the threats this person's made against you, this person is still issued a gun permit. What would you do? What would you do? Should you wait for this person to acquire the weapon and arrive at your door? Should you wait for the person you open the door and you have to wait for the person to shoot? What would you do?
Is this an allusion to Iran?
No, or should you take steps, let me finish, or should you take steps before this happens to assure that this person can never threaten you and your family again? Okay? Now imagine that this lunatic is Iran. The weapon's a nuclear bomb. UN is the local police. Okay? the Obama administration's the elected officials, and you're a Jew, or you're an American. Because remember, okay, the malocracy is not just saying that they want to destroy Israel. They want to destroy America. America's the great Satan. What would you do? And that's how I framed it today. That's how I framed it today. You know, to be a Jew and not be concerned about your survival is, in my opinion, shallow thinking. Because you know something? Hitler didn't care if you were observant. Hitler didn't care if you were non-observant. Hitler didn't care if you had a Jewish father, a non-Jewish mother, or one Jewish grandparent. To him, you were marked for extermination. Period. But it seems that, sociologically, as people, connections to their Jewish roots have become attenuated, they have, and Jewish knowledge has become poorer and poorer from generation to generation in the family. Okay, Jewish values have been replaced by op-ed of the New York Times values.
You have 1 minute to make an application to your Jewish brothers and sisters here in South Florida.
It's very simple, okay? Pull that lever or fill out your ballot from a Jewish point of view, an informed Jewish point of view. And that does not mean that Jewish values and liberal values happen to be the one and the same thing. They are not. Plain and simple. If somebody has said to you that the Jewish value par excellence is tikkun olam, meaning social justice, they have taught you wrong. And if somebody has taught you that Judaism values the complete right of a woman to choose to abort whenever, they are wrong. I'm not saying that you should be pro-abortion or anti-abortion. What I am saying is you should be informed about how you come to decisions to vote based on your Jewish background, what Jewish texts have to say, what Jewish values are. Because guess what? These people in that little video clip that you showed on Trento Vision, by the way, Tom, I was watching it as you were showing it, they're voting according to Black American values.
Yep.
By the way,
that is very powerful.
Alan West votes according to American values.
Amen. And on that note, we have to get going right now. Thank you, Rabbi Hausman. If anybody wants to get in touch with our good friend, Rabbi Hausman, contact me, Tom, at TrentoVision.tv. We will get you in touch with the rabbi. We're going to have you back as on a regular basis. Mark, 10 seconds.
No, it's just fantastic. And if you want the rabbi to come down and beat your other rabbis over the head, he's the one to do it.
That's
yeah,
right.
I was going to say, when are you going to be in town, Rabbi?
Well, if I can work something out, I may be down before the election, helping a couple of our friends out.
Okay, well, stop by the studio and say hi.
Next week, next week I'm helping a friend of ours in Maryland.
We'll see you in here. Right now, we got to go. We'll be back at about 4 or 5 minutes after the hour. Tom Trento with the team. Trento Vision signing out. Thank you, Rabbi John Hausman.
You're welcome. Bye.